Recently, I have been referring to Charles Bram and saying that he is in the Bell Film. During this period, particularly in my first video on this topic, I neglected to mention the Nix Film. This was quite an oversight on my part, but this person that I identify as Bram in the Bell Film is in the Nix Film, as I now realize. And as I wrote on here, relative to the sign's shadow, people on the south side of Elm are further left in the Bell Film than they are in the Nix Film. So Bram, the man with the red dot on his shirt or jacket, is the same man in both films. I wrote probably there, but I think it's a certainty that this is the same man in both films, where I have the red dot. So this person I've been calling Bram is in the Nix Film. Also, in my first video on this topic, I said that this man was not visible in the Zuder film. I also said that camera angles can be deceptive, and they are. This man is partially visible in the Zuder film, and those are his legs that I have circled in red. Informed by the Nix Film and the angles that reveals, I can tell that this is the same person. In the Nix Film, you can see him. You can see Alkins beyond this person in the background, and here you can see Alkins in the foreground. And this is definitely the legs of that same person that I've been calling Charles Bram. And this is the most we get to see of him in the Zuder film. So the fact that this person in the Nix Film here is the same person that I'm saying is Charles Bram in the Bell Film poses a problem for me, because the apparent color of this person's shirt or jacket has a definite blue tint when you see it in the Nix Film. You don't see that blue tint in the Bell Film, but it's definitely there in the Nix Film. Now, colors in color films of the same person, the same clothing, the same color, can look different from one film to another because of many different factors. But blue very rarely, or I should say cream color, what we see as apparently the color of Bram's jacket, very rarely will look blue in another color film, because the colors are just so different. I mean, you might think it's white in some films, you might think it's yellow in some films, but it should never look blue, and it definitely looks blue in the Nix Film. Now here I've put together a shot of Bram in the Muchmore film, and it actually looks like it has a blue tint there. But we know this is Bram. This is in the same position he appears in the Zuder film, in the lower right. And in the lower right, you can see that it's that cream-colored jacket. And I think that's closer to the actual color, what we see in that frame of the Zuder film. In the Bell Film, there's what I would call an implied hint of blue, which you don't have to take seriously, I don't think. It's not like the Nix Film, where it's clearly blue, but there you could see that there might be a blue tint in the Bell Film, and in the Nix Film it definitely looks blue. So if I'm right, and I still think I'm right, I still think that's Charles Bram in the Bell Film, and I think it's him in the Nix Film. But if I'm right, I think there has to be trickery in the Nix Film. That is, the color has to have been given a blue tint to his shirt. And I think that would be an easy alteration to do. Also, I want to note the appearance of this person's legs in the Zuder film. You can compare the legs and the shoes to some extent. It's not real good quality, it's not sharp, to the way Bram appears earlier in the film. And while you can't say that's a definite match, I don't think there's anything there that can disqualify them. That is, the two lower images here, the one on the left is the same person that we see in the Bell Film, but it's in the Zapruder film. And of course the one on the right there is Brehm earlier in the Zapruder film, in a part that I said was filmed before JFK came by and was added to the Zapruder film. So I still think I'm right, and I think that the color in the Nix film has been tinted or tainted. But I can see why people might disagree with me. They might say I'm wrong because they might say that the guy in the Nix film is not Brehm, and therefore the guy in the Bell film is not Brehm. But I still think I'm right. I think it's Brehm in both films. And here, just comparing much more to the Bell film, the much more we know is Brehm. And in the Bell film, color aside, look at the wrinkles, or I don't know if you call them wrinkles, but the waves in his jacket on the back. Those are extraordinarily similar. In fact, on the left-hand side, it hangs down a little low in both of them. You've got very similar creases or waves or whatever you'd call it, wrinkles, just from the way the jacket hangs upon the man. If you put the color aside, I'd say that looks like the same man wearing the same jacket in the Muchmore and the Bell. And even in the Nix, you can see on the left side, the jacket hangs down a little more over the pants. So I do think it's Charles Brehm in all of these photos here, in all of these films. And I think steps were taken to make it look like it wasn't Brehm in the Nix film. And I think steps were taken to make it difficult to see him in the Bell film because he appears only in one frame. Anyway, I still think I'm right, but to be honest, I have to mention this apparent blue jacket in the Nix film. And I wasn't being dishonest before. I simply had neglected to look. But now I have looked.